This is recruiting. If you can share the books, you can share the opportunity. My name is Janice Elam, and I'm going to talk to you about making recruiting as much a part of your business as selling books and booking shows. Of course, I had to have someone check my numbers for me to see how many recruits I'd had since I started with Usborne Books, because I'm not a numbers person. And after they called me and said, you've averaged one recruit a month for the last 11 years, I thought to myself, is that all? I was actually disappointed. Bronze recruits. And I want you to know that was all without a desk, because I've worked off my kitchen island for 10 of the 11 years. That's disorganization, okay? You can do better than me. Whether you've recruited and are looking to improve in that area, or you're a consultant who hasn't had their first recruit, your business will be more successful when you make recruiting more of a habit than a chore. And the reason why, of course, you want to recruit is because the money. You can earn a bonus on your own personal recruit sales. And the people who recruit in this business enjoy more long-term success. And it's also more fun to have a buddy, not only for training, but inspiration. When you have a buddy with you and she calls and says, I just got a school and library appointment, well, you hang up and pick up the phone again and make a school and library appointment, because you don't want her to outdo you. You don't want to look bad. Learn how to comfortably share the Usborne opportunity with everyone. Remember, people don't know what a great thing Usborne is, and they won't know until you tell them. The how-tos of recruiting will become natural when you know why you're recruiting, and it's really all about helping others. I know you're all perfectly at ease of saying, hey, Talbot's is having their semi-annual clearance sale, or, Dillard's is having 75% off. I know you've all done that, and it's really easy for you to do that with your friends and people you run into who say, hey, I like your outfit. Hey, I got it at Dillard's at 75% off right now. Well, it should be no different with your business. You should be able to share that opportunity as easy as you do telling someone about the great sales at your stores. And how about that illustrated dictionary of math? Who do you know who's a math whiz? I don't know. Well, I have one. Well, I have a couple boys, my children, but yeah, I don't know anybody else. And so that's very easy to share with someone. You can sell that book to anyone. What we want is to share the opportunity that easy too. You love these books and you want to share them with as many children as possible, but you can't do it alone. And that's the same with Usborne Opportunity. You can't do this alone. Recruiting has become easy for me because I'm in the mindset that I'm doing people a favor. And we're all eager to tell people about our great new catalog. And you wouldn't hesitate to tell another mom about your child's favorite book. Why? Because you're telling them about something that will benefit them. So think about how your Usborne business benefits you. You have a flexible schedule, you make money, you love what you do. Why shouldn't you share that opportunity to have the same flexibility, money, and satisfaction? Let's help everyone we come in contact with imagine what this business can bring to their life. So rather than developing a recruiting talk, make talking about your business part of your everyday life, everyday conversation. Sharing the opportunity should be natural and automatic, and eventually it will be as easy as bending over and tying your shoes. I follow the 3-foot rule. Anyone who comes within 3 feet of me will hear about my business. And I truly feel a radar. I feel a vibration as people come close to me. While I was getting my hair done to come to convention, I overheard the woman in the next chair next to me talking about how she just finished helping grade standardized tests and scoring them. And she said, and next year I'll be retired and I won't have to worry about it. And I said, oh, are you a teacher? And we spoke for a few minutes, and I said, hey, if you get bored after you retire, come see me. I need help selling books. And she took my card. Don't think you can only recruit customers or hostesses at a show or a booth. As I was at my computer writing for this workshop, I looked out the window and saw my neighbor having a big pool party for her MOPS group. I stood up and stretched, and I told my husband, I'll be right back. I feel like recruiting somebody. People who would be, and I did, mind you, people who would be interested in the opportunity are everywhere. You just need to make it easily available for them, be out there, and share it. Make sure you offer the opportunity to everyone. You don't get to decide if someone is right for this business. When I recruited with Usborne, I was a civilian nurse, PRN, which is, as needed, and I was also an Air Force Reserve nurse. I just had our 4th baby, and we had a 2-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 10-year-old, and my husband was out of town 4 days a week. I was not looking for something else to do. Would you have offered that opportunity to me? I didn't need the income then, but I wanted to do something fun and easy and meet people, something that was not going to require the use of brain cells that I was already robbed of from 4 births. My husband and I soon discovered that it was far easier for me to do a 3-hour home show than an 8-hour shift as a nurse. But now, 10 years later, we do need the extra income because my husband has taken a 50% pay cut. If you've read the papers, you know about Delta Airlines. Has my husband said to me, Janice, you need to go back to work, like all the other Delta pilots' husbands have said to their wives? No, he hasn't. Every morning now, because a lot of us in the neighborhood, I see the other Delta wives driving off to work while I'm standing in the yard in my bathrobe holding 2 retractable dog leashes because I took $200 I made at a booth and bought a little dachshund when my husband was on a trip, so he couldn't say no. And we bred her, and I gave away 3 of the puppies and cried and kept the last 2. So now I have 3 miniature dachshunds and a German Shepherd, and every morning I'm out there in my bathrobe waving to those moms. And I'm thinking, thank you, Janice. Thank you, Usborne Books. And I am so glad I stuck with this. It really has meant a lot to my family. So if you were thinking you wouldn't have approached me about recruiting because I was a busy mom, I'll ask you why not. Why would you have kept me from this opportunity that has meant so much to our family? Think ahead if you can, because time sure flies by. Little did I know this Usborne business would keep me from entering the workforce, because now I have my own workforce. When you recruit, you're not only building your own workforce, but you might be helping someone build a business that will allow them to achieve their dreams. And if you're too selective about who you offer the opportunity to, you might miss out on recruiting me. So talk about your business to everyone. Take people to a positive place about your business. If you aren't there yourself, they won't come along with you. The party plan is a classy approach to selling, and use words that let people know you're proud of what you do and happy that you do it, because you must touch a person's heart before they will touch your application. And some of the examples of words that work in everyday conversation are, 1, I love having the books in our home. It makes me look helpful and smart and useful to my children. I love having the books at my fingertips. 2, you might mention, you may be thinking you don't have time for this, but you're the very person who would be great at this. 3, I love meeting new people. 4, you can imagine how great it felt to me when my son called from school late one morning and said, "Mom, the paper I emailed to my teacher didn't go through. Can you do it for me from home again?" The key words being from home. And when he got home that afternoon and sat down in the chair, I went over to him and kissed on his face, he's 13, and said, "When you call Mommy and tell her to jump, you just tell her how high while you're at it, because I love being at home, working my business from home." So, it's precious. You can give examples of how your business fits your family. One of my new recruits has a 3-year-old daughter who was in her room reading books and said, "Here, Mommy, I'm done with reading these books. You can go sell them to other mommies now." Millions in this business didn't chase the money that can be made in direct sales. The money was attracted to them through helping others. If you're in the business to make friends and build relationships, guess what? You will be successful. Now let's talk about recruiting at home shows. Of course, if you're working your business, you'll have plenty of opportunities to recruit at home shows, booths, and other events. And of course, 80% of consultants are former hostesses. So here are some tips for making your hostess your next consultant. Take the time to know your hostess. Does she work outside the home? Full or part-time? Don't prejudge how busy she is. She may hate her job. Or whether she'd have time for Usborne, because after all, busy people like to be busy. Know the ages of their children. If she has young children, I always say at a show, "Oh, you're just in the beginning of your book buying years. Well, I'm planting that seed. You need a lot of books. You should get them at a discount." I don't say that though. If older children, you can say, "Oh, you can appreciate having good reference books in the home to save time and all that running around we do as moms when our children get older." Get to her house a few minutes early to take time with her. My hot tip, and Deb Casey just asked me about it, is if she has a lot of pictures in her home of her children, then she's a perfect recruit. I love to get to a show early to do nothing but walk around her room and look at the pictures on her walls and ask who they are. And I know that if she's got a lot of pictures of her family on her walls, she's a very family-oriented person. She must love her kids as much as I love mine. And I know already she loves books, or I wouldn't be there doing the show. Find a common ground for you to relate to her. Do you shop at the same stores? Did you get that outfit at Talbot's? Do you have kids in sports together? Do you have a gifted child? Do you want to have a gifted child? When the show starts, you'll have a room full of potential recruits, so listen for those recruiting red flags. These are comments made to you about Usborne. People are asking you about your business, but of course they don't know this. And I know I did this at the show Nancy Ann did at my neighbor's house. I said, "How come?" She was selling Pampered Chef the year before. I said, "How come you're not selling Pampered Chef anymore?" She said, "Because I couldn't get the bookings." So that, to her, was a recruiting red flag. I was inquiring about her business. If people say, another recruiting red flag is, "Well, I used to sell yada, yada, yada." To me, that's, boy, I'm going after her. Are all these books yours? How many shows a month do you do? Do you make money at this? Does your husband like what you're doing? I wish I had more money to buy more books. So all those little comments make me want to go back to her at a later time and talk to her more. Always do a brief recruiting talk in your introduction. You can explain why you started with Usborne. Or you may want to say in your presentation, there are 3 reasons why I'm here tonight. The first reason is to give your hostess's name all the free products I can. The second reason is to show all of you how to save money. And the third reason is to show some of you how to make money. And sometimes I give people a visual as I'm talking about the business itself. I often say, I use my Usborne money to make home improvements. I had California Closets come in and do every closet in the house. Or I say I use my money, because I often talk about my children, I'll say I use my Usborne money to pay for private school tuition, which strikes a huge seed accord with people, because in my area, not everyone is happy with the public school systems, and I'm sure you may all encounter that too. Plant another recruiting seed during or at the end of your presentation. Talk about good, better, and best. Combined volumes and customer specials are a good deal. Booking a show and earning free books is a better deal. Becoming a consultant is the best deal of all. You get a lifetime discount on the books your children will need. During my home show, I want to be relatable to other people. I want to be duplicatable. I kind of cringe if someone says, "Oh, you're so good at this." I don't want to look good at this. You know, I want this to look really easy. And I tend to crawl around on the floor a lot, and I shoot books across the carpet. And I act forgetful, only because it's true. I am very forgetful. It's not an act, it's a real thing. And I like to, after, I don't have a formal presentation really, and I like to, as you know, after I'm done talking, I tell people I want to help them one-on-one. I then will interject comments like, "Oh, I forgot to show you the science encyclopedia." You know, I kind of do that. "Oh, I forgot." I just want to really look like somebody could do what I'm doing, just like Nancy Ann did. You know, my thought when I saw her was, my gosh, she didn't say anything. I could do that. She didn't, because I showed up at her show with a newborn. Well, who wants to look at the books when you have a newborn? Oh, so everybody's looking at my newborn. See? And she couldn't show her books. But, you know, she couldn't really do a presentation. So, but it was obvious, of course, the books. She let me take a bag of books home with me for my older kids to look at, and I was sold. Lynn likes to use these little bags at her home shows, just little miniature bags you can get at Big Lots, and she puts in an item in each one and passes them out to her guests, and she'll say, "Why don't you pull out what's in your little bag?" And the guest will pull out a soccer ball, a little miniature soccer ball, and Lynn will go on to say, "You're what we call an extracurricular consultant. You like to be able to pay for your children's extracurricular activities like soccer or ballet or piano lessons. So you'd be a consultant that would do maybe 3 to 4 shows a month." And then another lady pulls out a little Matchbox minivan out of her bag, and Lynn will say, "You're called our 1 bill a month consultant. You like to pay off a family expense like the car payment. So you might do 4 to 6 shows a month." And then out of another bag will be a ribbon that she might have gotten from National Seminar, some recognition or a picture of a trip, her family on a trip. and she'll say, "You're our want-it-all consultant. You like to win trips, you like to get recognition at national seminar, so you're consistent with the business and do 6 events a month." So that's a nice way of talking about recruiting at your show. Don't forget about your hostess after the show. You can mention how much she could have earned if she had been the consultant conducting the show. Remind her that the bookings from her show could start her own business and that her kit would soon be entirely paid for. Don't be afraid of losing those bookings and customers, because if your hostess recruits, you are not creating a competitor. You are gaining an Usborne buddy by recruiting her. This happened to me early on. The one PTA lead I had when I first signed up decided not to do an event for me. She was going to sell herself. She was the PTA president at my kids' school. I said to my husband, "There goes all my leads. You know, I was going to work with the school and I was going to get a library sale and this and that." And he's like, "Janice, you're missing the big picture. You want her to be successful. You go elsewhere." That was great. Another great place to recruit is a booth or a book fair. As soon as someone walks into your space, look for an opportunity to tell them about doing what you do. The number one rule is to have fun and look like you're having fun. Use a lot of humor, laugh a lot. Great words to use at a booth. If someone says, "Oh, I love your books, I love books," you might say, "Well," take your recruiting flyer, "you may want to take advantage of this." I do that a lot. "You may want to take advantage of this." And I also say, "Well, you know." I do that all the time. "Well, you know," because it's just an afterthought on my part. "You may want to sell books, or you might want to do this." So I try to look like, this works for me. It might not work for you, but it works for me. Then I'm not quite so, they don't get so intimidated by me. As they read the kit special, I usually give them a few simple facts, and then I often and almost always say, as they look at that recruiting information, I say, "And your only obligation is to give me your firstborn male child." And they usually say, "Oh, you can have them," and they laugh, and we start laughing, and I ask about their kids, and I tell them I have 4 boys, and it's just great. It really works. You're just developing a relationship with people. Don't forget to develop a relationship with the other vendors. They might know or even be your next recruit. If you're working the booth with a buddy, then make sure one of you walks around and chats with the other vendors. If a customer asks you about doing an event for you, make sure you let them know that they could do that event themselves as a consultant instead of you. Recently, I had a home show booked, and I just didn't feel like doing it. And I decided to give it to a recruit of mine, and I thought I really should be doing this because I don't have anything booked, but I just don't feel like doing it, which is why it's nice to build a team, because you can give things away. So I gave her that show, and I walked around to the back of the house and started planting my tomato plants. And wouldn't you know, here comes a neighbor around the garage approaching me in my garden. I'm thinking, "Oh no, I'm going to recruit her. Why is she coming into my space?" I wasn't doing Usborne tonight, I never see this lady. We don't have children the same age. The only time I see her is while I'm out with my dogs in the morning. And I thought, what is she doing here? And she said, "You're probably wondering what I'm doing here." She said, "I've had back surgery 3 times in the last 3 months. And my friends have been bugging me to do shows for them. They're all selling different things. So I thought I'd do an open house. Would you like to come and set up Usborne? And I was like, well, sure, but why don't you do it? And she said, do what? I said, you be the consultant and you set up the books. And she said, oh, I thought you had this whole territory covered. I was like, oh boy, this isn't, I never thought of that because I'd been in the business for a while, people thought I had it covered. That scared me. I have these light bulb moments. I have been around for a while, but people need to know that I don't have territory covered and I still need people. So you might want to think about people that know you. If you've been in the business for a while, they need to know you need help. Often recruiting will come down to a follow-up phone call. My favorite way to start the conversation when I'm following up with a potential recruit is not ask her, have you looked at your package, or did you talk to your husband? I don't even go there. I just say, oh, hey, you know what? I forgot to tell you about, you can do double free books in your first 12 weeks, or whatever it is I forgot to tell her, because usually I forget to tell them something. You can offer the half-price kit to 2 people. Did I tell you you can do home shows on your website? So that's how I always start my phone calls. Oh, I forgot to tell you. And usually then she starts asking me more questions because I didn't ask her if she was going to sign up or if she had looked at my package. Make sure you answer their questions, but don't give them too much information because you can overwhelm them. Like Belinda said, we have the 11% for this and 2 for that, and you can just do too much. If they say, I'm busy, I have little ones, I don't have time, you can say, this is the best business to be in if you are a really busy person. You can be successful at this business working in 5-minute increments of time. If they say, I don't want to take the time away from my family, you can say, I'm like you. Don't anybody tell me to take time away from my children. In this business, you can make the time for Usborne when you want to make the money. You can take the time for Usborne when you want to make the money. If they say you're so good at this,
we needed notes for this.
okay, you can say, I'll go back to the first one. This is the best business to be in if you are a really busy person. You can be successful at this business working in 5-minute increments of time off your kitchen island for 10 years. And if they say, I don't want to take the time away from my family, I like to say, I'm like you. Don't anyone tell me to take time away from my children. In this business, you can make the time for Usborne when you want to make the money. That really hits home with me being a nurse. You get called constantly, and that just aggravated me to drive off to take care of other people's kids when I should be at home taking care of my own. That's how I felt. And if they say you're so good at this, you can say, you will become an expert on these books when you read them to your children. You will have your own stories to tell. You will become an expert on these books when you read them to your children. You will have your own stories to tell. If they say, I could never do what you do. I could never do what you do. You can say, this is the perfect business for the mom who wants to put her family first. This is the perfect business for the mom who wants to put her family first. You are in control. You don't have to do what I do. You don't have to do what I do. You can do this business in a way that works for you. You can do this business in a way that works for you. I want to mention just a couple of myths about recruiting. Some people think you need to recruit people like yourself. And the fact is, and you know from just being here, we're all so different. Just look around. Another myth is you have to have a lot of training before you start recruiting. Well, we all know from Megan, but and the same with me. You don't have to have a lot of training. You just need to be enthusiastic. And the fact is, the best way to start this business is with a buddy, and that's why the home office gives us the kit, gives the new people a kit at half price. And you know what? I bet you they'd let you have more than 2 at half price. 3, another myth, recruiters are pushy and make someone do what they don't want to do. So I don't want you to feel that way, because people are just not going to if they don't want to. 4, another myth, most people wouldn't be interested. Fortunately, I had some experiences very early on that made me throw in the towel as far as, well, she wouldn't be interested. Because I did a home show for neighbors, 1 house in a row. 1 week, 2 weeks later, and 2 weeks later. This third potential hostess, the third hostess, was at the first 2 shows, and she told me, I'm going to recruit, I'm going to do what you do, but I'll let my friends, my other neighbors do their 2 shows. When you come time to do my show, I'm going to recruit. I was like, great. I did the first show, and she was at it. I did the second show, she was at it. I went to do her show. The next day, her daughter, 4-year-old daughter, was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And after a week, it took us a while to close out her show after all these tests they had to go through. I closed out her show. I went to her house. We sat down. We went over the books. And you can better believe I wasn't going to bring up recruiting that day. You know, it just didn't seem like the right thing to do. I walked out of her house. I'm walking to my car. She flew out of the house, chased me down the sidewalk, grabbed me, shook my shoulders and said, "You didn't tell me about recruiting. I need this. I need this to get my mind off my daughter's illness." I was like, okay, that's it. I'm telling everybody about recruiting now, you know. I mean, how much more serious, you know, that to me was like, I would never have mentioned that, you know. But after that point, I was like, that's it. Everybody is going to know about recruiting. And another myth, you alone are solely responsible for the success of these people and the training of that new recruit. And the fact is, you have upline supervisors and a very supportive network at your fingertips. So I always tell my new recruits, don't feel you have to train the people you bring in your business with you. That's why I'm here. I will hold their hand for you. Before I conclude, I want to just mention it's how much fun it is to help people build their organizations. I really feel you have the best opportunity available, and you're actually doing people a favor. Of course, we all know SW, SW, SW next. SW is some will, some won't. So what? Next, someone's waiting. It's all timing. Is it the right time for them? Often you will start, if you're new in this business, and you offer the opportunity to someone, they will say no. And 6 months later, when you call them back to tell them you're having double free books, they go, oh, are you still doing that? And I'm like, oh, yes. And they really just wanted to see if you're going to stick with it. And they think, well, she must be doing well. She must enjoy it. She must be making money, or she wouldn't still be doing it. Okay, I'll sign up. Should you offer the opportunity to someone who you think probably wouldn't be good at this? A very seasoned supervisor from New England once said to me, I said, how do you know? I mean, would you really want to recruit somebody you know is not going to do anything? She said, Janice, you don't know when their pants will catch on fire. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to tell everybody then. For the past month or so, I've been away from home caring for my critically ill mother, and I've never been so thankful for this business. I'm thankful I'm able to take care of her without applying for vacation or family medical leave or take personal days from work. I'm thankful for the nurturing I've received from my team, the people I've recruited and who have become my best friends. So do yourself a favor and leave this room as a recruiter. Do it for your business, do it for your family, do it for those who you will recruit, and do it for yourself. Set a goal to recruit or to talk to 2 people this week and practice hearing no. And then next week, increase your goal. Talk to 2 or talk to 3 people next week. You can, if they say no, you know, you have such enthusiasm for these books. I just had to ask you because I thought you would be great at this. So keep practicing, and like Belinda said, practice, practice, and you will be successful if you just stick with it. Do we have questions? Yeah.
I just thought, for all of those of you who've been scurrying to write the stuff down, I'm not sure if you guys realize that all the seminars are going to be online. So if you have the capability, you'll be able to kind of download the whole thing. So you'll have more opportunity to kind of get in some keywords you were trying to get there.
Thank you.
Do you, oh, I don't know. I'll repeat your question.
Okay, we're not supposed to prejudge with recruiting, but I'll use an example that came up recently. I had one of the worst home shows ever, the worst family environment. It was very obvious the hostess could use additional income, but she doesn't have a car, and I imagine she has an abusive husband, very non-supportive, and I mean, she is absolutely not someone you would want looking like the spokesperson for our books. But I know it would be a good thing for her if she could make money. But she doesn't have transportation, and she said she really likes the books, but she doesn't have any way to get around. And it's not like she's in a community close by me. But you go ahead and pursue it and try to find a way that it would work for that person?
I would offer it to her. She may really need the camaraderie you get in this business, you know, feeling a part of something. I'm always going to do my new recruits first party for them anyway. So, and I give them all the leads. I might bring her to a booth with me. You know, I'm investing some time in her, but it's worth it to me. You don't know how long she'll be with it, but you don't know who she's going to bring into the business with her. So you don't always know how long they will be in the business, but you might get Lynn Urso, who was a recruit under someone that only did one show for me. But she did the one show. Well, actually, she didn't even show up at the show. She called Lynn the day before and said, I'm not going to go do your show. And Lynn said, well, can I come get your books? And she said, well, okay. And Lynn didn't even get the commission from doing the show. She read the back of the catalog, said she could be a consultant, and signed up. But that girl only did one show, or didn't really even do the show. So I'd offer it.
I want to know how you segue from showing up to a mom's party that you weren't invited to now I'm going to recruit here.
Well, she lived across the street. She knew me, and I walked over. How come I can show up at a mom's home? I don't have preschoolers anymore. Well, I had a for sale sign out front of my house now because my mom's been ill. We're going to bring my dad in with us, and we need to find a new house. So I was like, hey, any of you ladies need a new house? But, you can find a way. And this, I said to her, boy, you've got so many moms here. You could have a great party here. And then I saw a previous hostess who said, oh, you're still selling. So just find an avenue. Yes, she recruited.
So she did her own thing.
She did her own open house because I was up with my mom in Columbus. I just said, I packed the books up. Now my boys are older. I said, boys, put these books in the car, take them up the street, drop them off. And she did a $500 open house with all these other vendors there. She asked about my gardening lady, the lady who came into my space. Yeah, she did recruit. She did recruit. And don't get too close to me. Oh, okay, we're done, I think.